Hi guys, Jared here with Day Traders FX. Hopefully you guys are having a great week. We've had some interesting movements in the market, so we'll have a look at that. Quick little peek at everything. You can see U.S. markets have closed pretty positive. We've got a lot of earnings reports happening. Dow closed 150 points up, S&P about 17 points up, so pretty good day. Gold's kind of flattened out a little bit, and oil as well. Quick look at news. We've seen quite a bit of news coming out. We have, in just a couple of moments now, we have New Zealand interest rate announcements. Um, and then tonight we'll have the Australian CPI, which can be a bit of a mover. So let's keep our eyes out for that. That's coming up in just a couple of hours. And then tomorrow, we have a bit of news as well. Looks like we have some bank holidays in some parts of Europe, Australia, New Zealand, so on. And then we've got a little bit of U.S. news. Durable goods is always a good one to watch, and the IFO is a bit of a mover as well. So let's get over to the charts and have a look at them. There's not a ton to say other than kind of the channels are being shifted a little bit, and I'm still waiting and looking for the big kind of pre-summer push that we're going to see happen. But it might be a bumpy ride getting that momentum and getting there. Here's what the euro dollar is doing, and here's what's looking interesting. Head and shoulders pattern is playing out very nicely. I've got a lot of lines and pivot and fib levels and so on here, so hopefully that's clear-ish. But what we want to see here is this little head and shoulders pattern. I've talked about this quite a bit. This is the 200 moving average, and you can see it's moving just right between all that. It looks like we're going to get a close below the 200 moving average on the daily chart, which is something I very much wanted to see. And it looks like we're going to get that. So that's actually really good news for the downward movement. So it looks like so far things are probably going to play out on this head and shoulders, and we're going to see everything heading down a bit. Now, one thing that's interesting though is we definitely got to close below the 200 moving average on the 4-hour chart. You can see that head and shoulders pattern just a little bit better here. We came down, we have a little reversal candle, a little hammer right there, which happens to be from this low to this high, the 50% fib level that we're kind of struggling with. So it's having a hard time breaking much below that. And so that's kind of a key level that I'm going to be watching and looking for. So here's what I think we need to keep an eye on. The previous weekly low before this big break, this big drop, was 130.15. So previous weekly low 130.15, and we've got some support, or excuse me, some resistance up here around 130.30. So I've drawn just this little yellow box in here to remind me and us that this zone is super important. If we break above this area, we'll probably see a bit of a rally. So I will consider, I'm not 100% on board with this one just yet, but I'll consider getting long above 130.30 with an opportunity, with a possibility of this running into about 130.80, getting into these highs over here, and then ultimately into about 130.130 area into that Friday high. So we have the weekly high and the Friday high would kind of be my targets if we get above 130.30. So that's what I'm looking for. Otherwise, if we can stay below 130.30, I'm going to try to short below that. Depending on, if we get the right candles and the right patterns, price patterns, and so on. If things look choppy and ugly and messy, then I'm just going to short below 129.70. So 129.70 has turned out to be quite a significant little level here. Some nice support, and it's going to be a little bit of a tough one to get through. So I'll just trade the break. I'll sell the break of 129.70 on the euro dollar to trade that down. And again, I'm just trying to hold on to that big movement that I think is going to, well, that will happen. It's just when is it going to happen is kind of the big question. Um, Pound dollar is kind of bumping around and hopping around here just a little bit. We see that the pound dollar has really, there was some kind of clear levels, and there still are, but it's getting a little bit choppy and crazy here. So basically on the pound dollar, all I'm looking for is above 153.00, I'm long. I'm buying above 153.00. Below 152.00, I'm short. And that's just about that. That's about as complicated as it gets for me. We did have a little attempt last night in the middle of the night. We broke below that by about 5 pips and then pulled all the way back up. I'm looking for, a break. I'm looking for an open below this level. I want to make sure that we can actually get below the level before I get in. But I will short below 152.00 and target some of these lower missed pivots and so on here. But you can see that we had a pretty big reaction off of that 152.00. So I'd be a little bit surprised at this point to see, a big break and a big move down. But whether I'm surprised or not doesn't matter. It's just if it breaks, then I'm jumping in and I'm going in for the big move down. So outside of 150-200, below short, above 150-300, I'm long, and I'm just looking for that big movement to play out. It looks like we're testing. We bounced off this trend line in this channel here, and we're right back at it again, and we're testing it again. So we'll see if we can break down below there. Anything in the middle here, chop. Chop, chop, chop. And so I'm not going to try to trade too much of that for the moment. Aussie dollar's been kind of interesting. It's been a little bit all over the place. It's bumping around a little bit. It's trying to run towards our weekly pivot, which it has not yet touched for the week. We're about 70 or 75 pips away. It looks like we're going to get a nice hammer, maybe even a pin bar off of this on this daily chart, so that's pretty bullish on the Aussie dollar. And so I think we're going to get a bit of a bounce here, and I'm ready for it. I'm ready to see it happen, but it still seems to struggle quite a bit. So I'm looking for a break of about 102.65. We could even push it at 102.70. I just want to break this level right here, and I think we've got a good chance to trade the Aussie up into that 200 moving average and up into the weekly pivot. You can see here on the 15-minute chart, I've talked about this a little bit, the 200 moving average seems to be really holding this Aussie dollar at that 200 moving average. It doesn't seem to be able to break above that. So that's where I think if we look at a break of 102.65, 102.70 area, we should be pretty safe on that run up towards the weekly pivot point. So that's what I'll be looking at on the Aussie dollar. So again, above 102.65, even 102.70, I think we should have a good run into that weekly pivot. Again, gold's just choppy and messy. Yen pairs are moving around a little bit. We'll keep an eye on what happens there, and we'll be talking about this. Aussie yen is looking a little bit bullish. We had these kind of crazy spikes here. Of course, some news, some false news came out and got a couple of the pairs going. But those are interesting little candlestick formations, and those might be good levels to try to buy against. And so I'm going to keep my eye on those yen pairs, but we've got enough to keep ourselves occupied on euro dollar, pound dollar, Aussie dollar for the moment that I think will be good. But some of those other ones, we'll talk about them. I'll tweet out some images and charts and so on to make sure we're up to speed with all that, and we'll take it from there. Best of luck, guys. I'll see you in the chat. And remember, if you'd like a free trial and to trade with us for a week, go to daytradersfx.com and you can get a 5-day free trial there. Thanks, everyone. Take care.